think I have worked out what God is punishing us for. Everything.
Ben Wheatley, it's a great pleasure to meet you. Before we go into it in further depth, can you give me a little bit of an idea of the story of A Field in England, please?
A Field in England is a tale of deserters from a battle during the English Civil War who escape into a field and fall into the clutches of a man who's searching for treasure and plies them with large amounts of psychedelic drugs. And then the adventures begin.
I read that you'd been wanting to make a English Civil War film for a while. What was it that really inspired you to make A Field in England?
Years ago, I'd been involved with filming a documentary, or starting to do the research for a documentary about battle reenactment. And so I'd contacted the Sealed Knot and I'd followed them around for a bit and kind of basically fallen in love with it from there. You dress in the clothes and you eat the food and you just, time slows down and, you know, you get to meet people and drink mead. And so I read quite a lot about it, and then Amy Jump, who's my wife, who also wrote the script, started reading, and we kind of put together I'd written various drafts of the script, and then she wrote a draft of the script which she kind of changed the title and the character names and what happens in it and the dialogue. So I read that and I went, oh, this is actually much better than what I'd written. So that was, and then she'd written it from then on.
What is it like having a wife as your writing partner?
We've worked together a lot over the years in different ways, and you can tell how the scripts have come together by the crediting usually. So if it's Ben Wheatley and Amy Jump, it means I probably wrote most of it. If it's Amy Jump and Ben Wheatley, it probably means that my script has been rewritten, but the names have been retained. And if it's an Amy Jump script, then, you know, that's her.
It's very, very democratic.
Yeah, I mean, you can't be egotistical about writing. You shouldn't be. And, you know, it's that thing of just because you wrote it doesn't mean it's good. So you go with what's best, you know.
True. Now, this film's called A Field in England, and the set is just that. I imagine this was one of the easier location scouting challenges you've had. No, everything has its own challenge. I mean, the problem is with England is that it's quite noisy, and you're never far away from a road. We wanted a certain length of grass as well, which was, this is very dull field chat, but you know. Tell me about fields.
that was the kind of the technical ins and outs of that, yeah. So, you know, the field was quite an interesting field, if you wanted me to go into it in depth.
Please do.
But it was used as the overflow car park for Jack the Giant Slayer in a former life, and also for Ridley Scott's Robin Hood. So yeah, very exciting, and it's got a sandy base, so it never gets muddy when it rains, which is quite useful.
That's very useful.
In a way, it makes this weird stunted grass. So when you see the film, it's very unique, the field, and that's what we realised when we saw it. Oh my God, this place is incredible. But yeah, it's a weird little bit. It's filmed near Guildford, and it's an odd filmmaking hub. Like when we were filming the end of the film, a massive balloon floated over with a huge gondola underneath full of journalists, and they were all taking photos of Thor 2 that was down the road. So, you know, Guildford doubles for a lot of different places.
Now, you mentioned this is going out on TV, it's also going out on video on demand, out on the screens. This is a very unique distribution process. Did you have any say in that? What's your thought on it?
We're part of that whole decision to do it the way it's been done. And for a film like this, it's only, 10, 12 screens, so it's pretty hard to see unless you're lucky enough to be nearby it. You know, you might read the press and go, oh, this sounds good. Oh, where is it? Oh, it's 200 miles away. I'm not going to see that. I'll wait for it to come out on DVD. But this way you can actually see it. And I think the thing that makes films work is word of mouth. It's not even advertising, really. You can get people in for the first weekend, but once they've seen it, then they'll say to their friends, go, don't go, at that point. So, whether or not that works for any of those things, I don't know, but it remains to be seen. But I think that the thing is about it is that if it had come out normally, it would have just gone out to 10 screens and it would have been very hard to get any audience to it. So this way it's got a bit more of a chance.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how this performs. For my final question, I want to know what people can expect from A Field in England when they either turn on their TV or the computers or go to the cinema to see it.
They can expect high jinks and fun from the English Civil War, and I don't know, the kind of filmmaking that used to happen in the 60s and 70s, and kind of telly we used to get on Film 4 in the 80s. Something kind of uncompromising and bonkers, but fun.
Then I shall become it! I shall consume all the ill fortune which you are sent to unleash!
I shall chew up all the selfish scheming and ill intentions that men like you force upon men like me!